Against all the evil that hell can conjure, all the wickedness that mankind can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done. My ageless purpose, my final goal. Grant me my fate, monster. You are a monster, aren't you?
So, where are the pizzas? I played Pizza Game a while before its whole Forsaken collab. Like most, I was initially tricked by its seemingly innocent and colorful thumbnail. With a simple name like Pizza Game, I thought I'd be running around a quirky cartoony world to deliver pizzas. Except what I actually got was something way better. And after dropping the game and leaving it abandoned in my favorites for a while, I was then recently reminded of this absolutely peak Roblox experience. So then I actually got off my ass and beat the 2 current stages in the game. Pizza Game was developed by Man Games and takes inspiration from stuff like Doom, Tower Fortress, Ultra Kill, if you somehow couldn't tell, having striking low poly graphics and a neat pixelated UI and artwork. This is Pizza Guy, the dude you play as. Apparently he never knew his real name since his parents died before he could even learn it, so he just named himself after the job, delivering pizzas. It reminds me of how Doom's protagonist is just named Doom Guy. Pizza Guy lived a life in the suburbs working his normal delivery job, although it definitely was not a normal life. Ever since birth, Pizza Guy has been a host to a lesser demon named Baldo. There's a lot of demons in this game. They're kinda like the main antagonists. Pizza Guy eventually started to lose his mind from the constant torment and mental battles with his demon, needing to deal with it every single day. Although he wasn't like any ordinary person, instead of succumbing, Pizza Guy pushed through and managed to prevent himself from collecting souls for Baldo. You see, demons need souls to survive. It's the host's job to collect them through murder. The stronger bond between a host and their demon means together they can grow into a stronger being. Though in Pizza Guy's case, after enough time, Baldo managed to starve to death. Starving your own demon to death is something that was pretty unheard of, especially with how much of the population is already possessed by demons. But Pizza Guy was no ordinary person. He was a monster. Seeing Pizza Guy's mind open, a bunch of demons tried to be first in line to claim a new strong host, but only one managed to find him first. Drav. Drav is a very special little guy, a demon born from the Arbiter of Life, whatever that means. He has limited control over life and death, and is able to bring Pizza Guy back to life. In Pizza Game, you and Drav team up to take down the Iron Gate, a tear between Earth and the spirit world. When it originally opened, this is when all these demons poured into the world, and basically started possessing whoever they wanted. It's possible that Drav isn't even from the spirit world, since he shares Pizza Guy's goal of wanting that gate gone. Anyways, let's talk about actual gameplay, starting with
how I keep the rent low in my neighborhood.
You wake up in a Church of the Untouched, specifically made to ward off demons. This is where you spawn in every level of the suburbs. The first weapon you are given are the dual pistols Cleanse and Repent. After obtaining the left from a downed citizen and the right from a Church of Refuge, you named them Cleanse and Repent. This marked the beginning of your path, to cleanse the world and make all those who participated in its destruction repent. This is your default weapon, dealing average damage with a moderate fire rate. It can take out enemies pretty well, but has a big downside of its reload. The reload takes pretty long and can interrupt combos, and leave you pretty vulnerable. So obviously don't rely on it and make sure you're swapping weapons a lot. There's actually a lot of different kinds of weapons, and you can either find them just lying on the ground or get them from vending machines, which I'll talk about later. Cleanse and Repent can also be a bit inaccurate sometimes. Running up ahead, you'll start to see some lovely looking friends charge towards you, except they're not actually friends. The basic kinds of enemies include lunatics and civilians. They aren't exactly here to sell you Girl Scout cookies. Instead, they'll try and end your run. As basic weak enemies, they're nothing interesting, and serve to keep your combo running or swarm you. They each have iron masks on their face, signifying that the demon possessing them has full control. Killing enemies has a chance to grant you a soul. Souls are the game's main mechanic, and upon reaching 0 health, because you suck, the bar will instantly replenish at the cost of 1 soul. A higher combo means higher soul chance, so just go wild. The Suburbs has a good amount of consistent locations around, such as gas stations, parking lots. There's also explosive barrels to shoot. Your goal is to kill every enemy in the level and score a nice high combo. Afterwards, find the magical teleporter and dive into the next. The better combo you get, the more bonus souls you get. At the end of each level, you'll meet your best friend, Drav. He asks for either half of your souls or all of them. Granting Drav 50% allows him to spin a wheel and give you a random inferior perk. Perks are upgrades that you can stack up on throughout a run. Did I mention the game is a roguelike? And there's gambling as well. This is just too good. Perks can do stuff like increase survivability, make your gun stronger, give you better luck. Granting Drav all of your souls gives you a superior perk, which is just better than inferior, shocker. If you don't have any souls for Drav, then he becomes starved by removing 1 of your 5 max health. I don't really know the meta, but I just give 100% when I'm low on souls and 50% when I have a lot of souls. Also depends how many bonus souls you got in that level, since that carries over to the next without you needing to spend them. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Divines are introduced next level. Man, I don't like these things. They're not actually that bad, but there's a very specific swarm of them that tends to appear. Divines are flying enemies that fire a volley of bullets at you from above. They are actual mosquitoes, and you must swat them by firing at the glowing halo above their skull head thing. Shotguns work best for this, like the double shot and the quad shot. Both very nice for damage at close and mid-range. Of course, being shotguns, they're not too great with crowds, but they will hit multiple enemies if they're right next to each other, especially those stupid little divines. Shout out to Robert Hilberg back in 1962 for inventing the quad shot, by the way. He was clearly ahead of his time. Every man, woman, and child wanted this extreme weapon for either protection or devastating assault. In your case, it's the latter. Vending machines come in different rarities. Gray, blue, and yellow. The more rare they are, the better guns that are dropped. They can drop with more ammo, elemental aspects, or just be from whole other stages. Triggering vending machines can also extend your combo, same with barrels. So just keep that in mind in case there's no enemies around. When your weapon is low on ammo, make sure to swap it out whenever you can. Well, here we are at level 3. A mini-boss. A mini-boss appears known as Philip the Everlasting. Look how scary he looks. Apparently this is a pretty big skill wall for all the players who aren't so good at the game. So much so that he's been nerfed a lot. Nowadays I just see all the poor Forsaken players struggle against him, since it's Philip that you need to kill in order to get the Monster Elliot skin in Forsaken. I forgot how many Forsaken players were on mobile, and this game isn't the most friendly on mobile. Anyways, Philip isn't hard at all. He has 3 attacks, one of which is his revolver, indicated by this obvious red laser. It attempts to predict your movement, so just change directions last second, or maybe jump over it. His axe throw you can just dodge as well, pretty easily. He's not that complicated. Anima Sana, I don't know, is indicated by a ring shrinking around him. Once it closes, Philip heals 10 health. Dealing enough damage during this will leave Philip stunned instead, and allow you to beat the actual shit out of him. Keep your distance so you don't get smacked and you'll probably just win. You could also use a katana to beat him pretty easily by deflecting everything. Once dead, Philip will flop over and you'll get a screen showing his soul being condemned. Whatever that means. After beating Philip the Everlasting, you'll also get access to your first special perk. It's guaranteed and will give you a double jump. Philip is the first Everlasting. His will to survive is beyond that of any other host in existence, even to this day. He has bested every foe and every being he's encountered. Unlike others, he has even bested the demon inside, gaining full control over his spiritual power. Philip has been fighting and thriving for over 400 years. He is seen as the ever-standing pillar of an otherwise dead world, but nothing is truly everlasting in this place of blood and iron. Anyways, now he's everywhere. Everlastings are pretty strong enemies that appear after Philip is beaten. They have a fat weak spot on their chest that you obviously need to shoot at. Everlastings are hosts that manage to overcome their demon's influence and use the demon's power for their own. They have a limited moveset compared to Philip, and just fire shots and swing at you. Not too difficult to deal with. On level 4, you meet these monstrosities. Paladins are very annoying. There's a reason they only appear on the last 2 levels of the suburbs. Paladins will fire a whole burst of 5 shots from their automatic shotgun, absolutely melting your health if you get stuck in a bad spot with one. They also have this fat, dumb shield that can sometimes protect other enemies inside of it. You basically need to wait after their shots, rush past that shield, and drop them as fast as you can. Of course, while also trying to avoid the horde of enemies surrounding them. It's not too fun. Especially during arenas, some of which have 0 cover. I forgot to mention, arenas are special events that trigger once you enter specific areas. Hordes of enemies will spawn in waves and force you to clear them out before progressing. A similar event are ambushes, but those are less dangerous, and only trigger if you have enough souls to spare. In Prima Hominum, also known as the Suburbs, 3 laws were established. 1. Those fueled by violence must refrain when in a house of peace. 2. Those seeking the soul of another must acquire it through combat and no other means. And 3. Those born of iron shall remain of iron. To uphold these laws, 3 keepers were chosen: Maxim, host of Galga, Helios, host of Trovet, and Delos, host of Con S Mortem. Over time, more laws were added, and more keepers were appointed. However, the demons of Prima Hominum grew discontent. They despised the increasing restrictions and believed the freedom of Prima Hominum was rapidly diminishing. Something had to be done. The opposing demons conspired to eliminate the keepers and abolish the laws. They united to kill the keepers, striking them down one by one. But Delos remained. His strength and unwavering faith preserved him, allowing him to uphold the third and final law. Delos, feeling the weight of his fallen comrades, fell into great sorrow. He donned a mask made from the metals of their armor and swore to never remove it. Recognizing his strength and great faith, the Iron Gate claimed him as her champion. She granted him power beyond his demon's foresight and crafted a new suit of armor for him, forged from the very metal of her dominion. That day, Delos was solidified as the final keeper, the keeper of the third law.
So the day has finally come. The day of which a monster of rage and unrelenting fury would snuff out her beauty. My angel has spoken of this day. My final day. May his will be a symbol of hope for my people one last time. Grant me my fate, monster.
Okay, so this is the keeper of the Yapping Lawn, also known as Delos, the final boss of the Suburbs. The fight opens up with a bunch of dialogue, where he mentions his angel, Con S Mortem, although this is probably just a demon. Regardless, they have the ability of seeing into the future. This fight is actually pretty easy, just as long as you keep your distance. Using your new double jump to strafe away, Delos will try to swing his sword and chain, or even grapple towards you. Definitely do not use melee weapons, and just shoot him from afar. The only time you'll probably take damage is when he enters his iron focus state and deflects any shots. Sometimes this can be a bit sudden, and you'll accidentally take a couple hits. He also does this bell thing, but it's laughably useless. Delos dies, then yaps some more, and then you get another special perk. You get to choose between Brick Hook, which allows you to grapple to any surface. I always choose this one. Righteous Motion gives you 3 dashes for extra mobility. It does not pair well with the grapple. Spiked Sabatons allows you to wall run with extra speed, and grants an extra jump afterwards. I also rarely take this. I recommend just taking the hook. It's a bit harder to control, but very effective to get around your next stage, the sewers, and especially for the final boss. Run by the nearly omnipresent demon Kiosk, I think that's how you pronounce it. The Kiosk is a questionably legal stand where people can sell souls and gamble for various items to aid in their fight for survival or conquest. If you're lucky, you may even be able to get a perk ticket, which will allow Kiosk to give you a random perk in a specific category. If you have lots of souls to spare, this place is always nice to go to. We now find ourselves in, the New York City sewage system. After the creation of the first law in the suburbs, demons who were too violent or could not live without unchecked anarchy were sentenced to live in the sewers below. The sewers quickly became a place of banishment for any demons too bloodthirsty for the suburbs. When the suburbs banished and forgot, life in the sewers continued. The violence, carnage, and pain thrived, as there was nothing else to be witnessed among the spirits below. These demons would warp and mold their hosts, taking on more grotesque and broken forms to wreak havoc more effectively, combining their flesh with the metal around them and the hate within them. After a few years, the suburbs no longer considered the sewers as banishment, but as execution. No one sent to the sewers was ever seen again. Taha, except for me. Right, guys? The sewers have much more environmental hazards, mostly these pits of acid. This is why the brick hook is pretty useful in case you slip in. Residents are the basic enemy down here, wearing plague doctor masks and wielding shotguns that can deal decent damage up close. As long as you manage their numbers, they shouldn't be too bad, and will help your combos stay up, similar to earlier enemies. A pretty common weapon in the sewers is the drill bite, and personally one of my favorite in the entire game. It's a mix of a fast-firing shotgun and holy iron gauntlet used to deflect attacks. The shotgun is fast enough to handle crowds and deal with pestilences as well. Pestilences are stronger versions of residents, having more health and dealing annoying chip damage when left ignored. The drill bite is also great against dreadfuls, another enemy that appears throughout all of this stage. They are strange, floating, fleshy spheres, hosts morphed into a more grotesque form by their demon hosts. As explained by the Codex, these creatures are the heart of the sewers, embodying its brutal nature. Dreadfuls aren't hard to kill, but if ignored, they will deal dangerous amounts of damage by spewing explosive bile. It's fun to gather crowds around them since dead dreadfuls explode on death, wiping out anyone around. Moving on to level 2, you'll start to see more open areas, with of course acid beneath you. You'll need good movement to rush around in case of arenas and to not get overwhelmed. Sentinels will start to appear. Tall automations covered in rusted armor. They seem pretty scary, especially with their attack and the sound it makes. But their health isn't anything much, and the laser is fairly slow. Damaging them enough will reveal what's underneath the armor, a red fleshy form. Whatever their purpose was, it seems to be something protective. This is a good time to mention that you can find a weapon down here known as the Gratana, and it's absolutely busted. Always take it. The Gratana is a saw blade launcher equipped with trajectory adjusting technology, capable of firing blades that home into enemies and completely shred them. A truly devastating weapon, and so fun for arenas. Weapons like the 800M and Bullshot are also good against the inevitable crowds of deadly enemies that you'll be trapped in small spaces with. Speaking of deadly in small spaces, the Tollsman can be quite confusing to deal with at first. Living husks deformed by a red sickness and demonic power. They carry around a large piston that will be placed on the ground when near you. A large red ring will appear on the floor and deal fast damage when inside. Their health pool is pretty fat at first until you spot their weak point spot on the piston. Shoot it and they should just explode. Though the trick is that you need to be a little patient for that piston to come down first. When caught off guard in small spaces, they can be quite deadly, but otherwise not so much if you're aware of your surroundings. They now roam the sewers, adorned with the tools of a hopeful ceremony, tolling for the Visage so that all may witness his infinite power and infectious hope. I wonder who that Visage guy is. Entering the center of the sewers, you find yourself in a strange, large containment chamber. Nobody else dares to go through here. The inhabitants of the sewers decided that it should be avoided at all costs, since anyone who did enter never returned. Here is where your Stage 2 mini-boss is located, named Specimen 09. This grotesque mindless husk is a mix between organic and machine, with metal plating covering its body and a brighter mask shaping around its face. Probably the most disturbing design. I really don't like the way its blink eyes look. It will move towards you during the fight, smacking you if you get too close. It does have a weak spot on its back, but you can still deal good damage without it. This thing can somehow control gravity itself, and yes, can summon a black hole. Pizza Guy doesn't seem to care that it's a black hole, because you can just shoot it and kill it before it pulls you in. Make sure you always keep your distance during the fight, since that'll give you more time to react and shoot the black hole before it starts dealing damage. Specimen will also summon about 4 different red markers on the ground, increasing the gravity inside them and dealing damage to you if caught. You'll need pretty good reaction time and movement to be able to dodge, since these attacks aren't slow by any means. Its third attack is a ring of boulders that fire outwards quickly, indicated by white lines. Lastly, pay attention above you, since if a set of catwalks appears, you'll need to climb up before the floor becomes electrified. Overall, the boss's health pool isn't too crazy, and as long as you're reacting fast, you should be able to take this thing down. Defeating this boss gives you the Overcharge perk. A bar is now on the side of your screen. Dealing damage with weapons will raise the bar and eventually activate Overcharge. When overcharge is active, you gain plus 50% fire rate and infinite ammo for 3 seconds. It takes about 20 hits to activate overcharge. Moving on to the next level, Specimen is now a normal enemy, being pretty resilient and using similar gravity attacks. Unlike Everlastings, who were sort of a pushover, Specimens are quite deadly. It's probably worth it to start firing at their weak point now, when you get the chance. Unlike the Sentinel, the Specimen is not only mechanical, it is half man, half machine. However, there is no human left within the metal cage of its mind. The Specimen was designed to exert complete control over the world's gravitational forces, capable of pushing, pulling, and crushing its foes. Level 4 introduces the ghouls, extremely annoying enemies who pop up in front of you and pounce, dealing tons of damage if in groups. Ghouls are deformed humans with multiple skulls on their head. Inside their exposed ribcage, a glowing core serves as its weak spot, and is what allows them to travel through reality. At no point does the ghoul recognize its plane of existence or its origin. It only knows that it must kill and feed on both soul and flesh to survive. When one appears, you need to move backwards to avoid its initial attack, then fire at its heart to kill it. This is mostly annoying since it can easily mess up your movement, especially when there's other enemies. Just like everything down here in the sewers, ghouls are twisted and merciless. Entering the final level, you're met with some dialogue by what seems like some sort of empty, hanging corpse.
How are you alive? Your souls unweathered. You truly are a monster, aren't you? It does not matter to me. For I am whole. I am stronger than iron, the light, and all that is. Kneel, monster. For your penance is upon you.
The Visage of False Hope is the current final boss in Pizza Game, serving as the last obstacle keeping you from accessing the next stage, the city. The boss is a massive stone pillar in the center of the chamber. It barely receives any damage dealt, but shooting the host's body hung up on the tower will work better. A ring moves up and down the tower, armed with multiple cannons to fire the Visage's attacks. Attempting to get too close will simply blast you backwards. Visage has a whole 7 attacks, meaning you'll need to be on the move a lot. When you get the chance, find a safe spot to shoot at the host. Standing up on the arena's ledges are great for avoiding the Visage's flamethrower attack, grenade barrage, and acid flood. Cannons flash red for flamethrowers, purple for grenades, and the alarms trigger in the arena when it begins to flood. You're going to be spending a lot of time up in these ledges. Visage's missile burst attack is probably the most dangerous one. Signified by the ring rising to the top of the tower, volleys of missiles will begin locking onto you, firing in bursts, requiring fast movement and reacting in time. Sometimes this can also trigger while acid is still flooding in, putting you in a very deadly spot. Another dangerous attack are the acid geysers. First appearing as a purple column, you'll likely accidentally run into some if you're zooming around the area. Enemies will spawn near the bottom, but you should only really be going down if you need a better weapon, or some easy souls. Sometimes these enemies will transform into betrayals, special enemies that make the Visage invulnerable to damage, and slowly heal him. Kill the betrayals fast, as they're pretty weak. If you play it safe, this boss isn't super hard, but it will last a while and test your endurance. If you know what you're doing, and have a good amount of souls to spare, you should be able to take the win. Visage of False Hope, I think you are dead!
You disgusting rat. All the powers of iron cannot hold me, and you, speck among gods. I will not die. I will not die by your hand. I will remain.
Upon the creation of the first law, Bruce watched helplessly as his body, alongside his son, committed unspeakable acts of carnage. Desperate to avoid punishment, Bruce pleaded with the demon within him to stop the madness and spare him and his child, but his cries went unheard. In time, Bruce, his son, and the demon were banished to the sewers for defying the Iron Gate's order. Bruce endured unimaginable suffering, witnessing his child's torment and eventual ruin. The demon, seeing his brother's vessel, Bruce's son, broken and lame, decided it was time for him to find a new host. Bruce pleaded once again, and once again his pleas fell on deaf ears as the demon stripped his son of life and consumed his soul. Broken and without hope, Bruce struck a deal with the demon. He would surrender entirely, but only if the demon became a symbol of hope and order in the sewers. The demon agreed, but Bruce was unaware of its true power. Manifesting its full form, the demon twisted Bruce's body into a grotesque tower of ego, pride, and sickness. This abomination compelled all in the sewers to follow it, growing ever more powerful by consuming its followers. Bruce, now a mere remnant, was left hanging from the creature's face, forced to witness his grave mistake. The followers of this new entity called it the Stone God, while others knew it as the Visage of false hope. The Stone God spread a prophecy: when all beings surrendered to it, the Iron Gate would fall, and the underworld would rise to claim the surface.